Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 530, The Fog That Follows, Part 1, Intermediate. The small fishing village of Greyhaven sat quietly by the sea, its wooden houses leaning against the wind. The villagers were simple people, their lives tied to the tides and the fish they caught. But for weeks a strange fog had rolled in every night, thick and heavy, swallowing the village whole. It wasn't like normal fog. It moved with purpose, curling around houses, seeping under doors and leaving a damp, sour smell. The villagers whispered about it, but no one dared to speak too loudly. Ella, a young woman who mended nets for the fishermen, noticed the fog first. She lived alone in a small cottage near the cliffs. Every night as the fog came, she heard faint whispers, like voices speaking words she couldn't quite catch. At first she thought it was the wind or her imagination, but the whispers grew louder, more urgent, and they seemed to follow her. One evening Ella walked home from the dock, her boots crunching on the gravel path. The fog was thicker than ever, so dense she could barely see her own hands. She quickened her pace, her heart beating faster. The whispers were there again, closer now, weaving through the fog. "Ella! Ella!" they called, soft but sharp like a blade hidden in silk. She stopped, her breath catching in her throat. "Who's there?" she shouted, her voice trembling. The fog seemed to pulse as if it were alive, and the whispers stopped. She ran the rest of the way home, locking her door behind her, but the fog pressed against her windows, its grey tendrils curling like fingers. That night she barely slept, her ears straining for sounds. When morning came, the fog was gone, as it always was, leaving the village bright and ordinary. But Ella felt different, watched, marked. The next day she told her friend Tom, a fisherman with rough hands and a kind smile. "It's just fog, Ella," he said, laughing. "You've been working too hard." But his eyes darted to the horizon, where the sea met the sky, and Ella saw doubt in his face. That night the fog returned, thicker and darker. Ella stayed inside, her candle flickering. The whispers came again, louder, angrier. "Ella, you cannot hide," they hissed. She clutched her knife, her hands shaking. Then a scream tore through the village, a sharp, terrible sound that made her blood run cold. She peeked through her window, but the fog was so thick she could see nothing. The next morning, Tom was gone. His boat was found drifting, empty, its nets untouched. The villagers searched the shore, but there was no trace of him. Ella's stomach twisted with fear. She knew the fog had taken him. Days passed and more people vanished. The baker, the schoolteacher, even old Mrs. Carter, who never left her house. Each time the fog came, the whispers called and someone was gone by morning. The village grew quiet, doors locked, windows boarded. Ella couldn't stand it anymore. She had to know what the fog was. One night she took a lantern and stepped into the fog. The air was cold, heavy, like breathing water. The whispers surrounded her, a chorus of voices now, chanting her name. She walked towards the cliffs, where the fog was thickest. Her lantern flickered, its light swallowed by the grey. Then she saw it, a shape in the fog, tall and thin, with eyes like burning coals. It wasn't human, but it moved like one, gliding toward her. "Ella," it whispered, its voice inside her head. She stumbled back, her lantern falling. The shape reached out, its fingers long and twisted. Ella screamed, turned and ran, the fog chasing her, wrapping around her legs. She tripped, falling hard on the rocks. The whispers laughed, cold and cruel. When morning came, the fog lifted. The villagers found Ella's lantern smashed on the cliffs, but Ella was gone like the others. The fog returned every night and the whispers never stopped. Greyhaven grew emptier until the fog remained, waiting for the next name to call. Vocabulary notes. Fog, noun. Definition: a thick cloud of tiny water droplets suspended in the air near the ground, reducing visibility. Example: the fog was thicker than ever, so dense she could barely see her own hands. Sample sentence: the fog covered the city, making it hard for drivers to see the road. Similar words: mist, a lighter form of fog, often less dense, allowing some visibility. E.g., a light mist hung over the lake at dawn. Haze, a thin layer of dust, smoke or moisture in the air that reduces clarity. E.g., the city was covered in a haze from the nearby forest fires. Vapor, a substance in the form of gas or fine particles, often related to water or steam. E.g., the vapor from the hot tea rose into the air. Whisper, noun, verb. Definition: noun, a soft, quiet way of speaking or a faint sound. Verb, to speak or say something very quietly. Example: every night as the fog came, she heard faint whispers, like voices speaking words she couldn't quite catch. Sample sentence: she heard a whisper in the dark, but no one was there. Similar words: murmur, a low, continuous sound or soft speech. E.g., the crowd's murmur grew louder as the news spread. Mutter, to speak quietly, often in a way that shows discontent or is hard to hear. E.g., he muttered something under his breath and walked away. Hiss, a sharp S-like sound often associated with anger or urgency. E.g., the snake hissed at the approaching danger. Dense, adjective. Definition: closely packed together, thick or difficult to see through or move in. Example: the fog was thicker than ever, so dense she could barely see her own hands. Sample sentence: the forest was so dense that sunlight barely reached the ground. Similar words: thick, similar to dense, often used for things like fog, forests or crowds. E.g., this thick smoke filled the room. Heavy describes something with great weight or intensity, sometimes used for fog or air. E.g., the heavy air made breathing difficult. Compact, tightly packed, often used for physical objects. E.g., the soil was compact and hard to dig. Tendril, noun. Definition: a thin, curling part of a plant that helps it climb, or something that looks similar, like a thin, winding shape. Example: but the fog pressed against her windows, its grey tendrils curling like fingers. Sample sentence: the vine's tendrils wrapped around the fence, holding it tightly. Similar words: wisp, a small, thin, delicate strand, often of smoke or hair. E.g., a wisp of smoke rose from the fire. Strand, a single thin piece of something, like thread or hair. E.g., a strand of her hair fell across her face. Thread, a very thin line or piece, often used for sewing or figuratively. E.g., a thread of light shone through the crack. Tremble, verb. Definition: to shake slightly, often because of fear, cold or excitement. Example: who's there? She shouted, her voice trembling. Sample sentence: his hands trembled as he opened the mysterious letter. Similar words: shake, to move back and forth quickly, often from fear or anger. E.g., she shook with fear when she heard the noise. Quiver, a slight trembling or shaking, often with emotion. E.g., her lips quivered as she tried not to cry. Shudder, a sudden, strong shake, often from fear or disgust. E.g., he shuddered at the thought of the dark forest. Gliding, verb, present participle. Definition: moving slowly and effortlessly as if sliding or floating. Example: It wasn't human, but it moved like one, gliding toward her. Sample sentence. The swan was gliding gracefully across the calm lake. Similar words. Sliding, moving smoothly along a surface, e.g., the sled was sliding down the snowy hill. Floating, moving lightly on or through water or air, e.g., the balloon was floating high above the festival. Drifting, moving slowly, often without control, carried by wind or water, e.g., the boat was drifting in the open sea. Pulse, verb noun. Definition, verb. To move or beat with a strong regular rhythm. Noun, a single beat or throb like a heartbeat. Example, the fod seemed to pulse as if it were alive and the whispers stopped. Sample sentence. Her heart pulsed with fear as she entered the dark room. Similar words. Throb, a strong, steady beat often associated with pain or emotion, e.g., his head throbbed after the loud noise. Beat, a regular rhythmic movement or sound, e.g., the drum's beat echoed through the valley. Vibrate, to move quickly back and forth, often producing a sound, e.g., the phone vibrated on the table. Story written by Grok 3 AI. Image created by Grok 3 AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you.